NX class. The NX class launched humanity into the final frontier. These were Earth's first Warp 5 starships, capable of reaching speeds that previous human vessels could only dream of. Now, while Starfleet planned to build at least 4 ships, NX-01, NX-02, NX-03, NX-04, only 2 actually made it into service. NX-01 Enterprise launched in 2151 as the culmination of the NX project. Now, under Captain Jonathan Archer's command, this single ship revolutionized the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Enterprise didn't just explore space, it established United Earth and Starfleet as legitimate interstellar powers. The ship's 10-year mission from 2151 to 2161 laid the groundwork for everything Starfleet would become. Now, the Enterprise encountered the Suliban Cabal, made first contact with dozens of species, and survived the temporal Cold War. The ship proved that humans belong among the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and diplomats. When the Xindi nearly destroyed Earth with their superweapon, it was the Enterprise that tracked them across the dangerous Delphic expanse and prevented humanity's extinction. The ship's greatest achievement came during the Earth-Romulan War. Enterprise received significant refits during this conflict, upgrading its weapons and defensive systems for the brutal 4-year war that followed. The ship's actions during this period helped forge the Coalition of Planets, which transformed into the United Federation of Planets in 2161. The NX-02 Colombia finally launched in 2154, 3 years after Enterprise. Colombia incorporated numerous improvements based on Enterprise's operational experience. The ship featured enhanced warp coils, improved hull polarization, and upgraded phase cannons. Now, under Captain Erika Hernandez's command, Colombia proved that the NX-class design was sound and ready for fleet production. Colombia participated in several engagements during its first year, demonstrating the lessons learned from Enterprise's missions. The ship's systems were more reliable, its crew better trained, and its mission parameters refined based on the hard-won experience of humanity's first deep space vessel. However, the NX-class program faced significant challenges. Building Warp 5 starships pushed Earth's industrial capacity to its limits. Each ship required massive resources, specialised components, and months of careful construction. The planned NX-03 and NX-04 never materialised, likely due to the enormous costs and the urgent need to refocus resources on the Earth-Romulan war effort. The NX-class ships measured 225 metres in length and carried crews of around 83 personnel. They featured a distinctive design with a saucer-shaped primary hull, a smaller secondary hull, and 2 warp nacelles connected by swept pylons. The ships were armed with phase cannons and photonic torpedoes, and while their hulls used polarized plating for defense rather than, these ships operated without the advanced technologies that later Starfleet vessels would take for granted. No transporters for personnel, crew members had to use shuttle pods for surface missions, no replicators, the ships carried traditional food stores and had a chef to prepare meals, no universal translators, first contact situations required careful linguistic work and often hand gestures. Now, despite these limitations, the NX class achieved what no human vessel had before. They proved that Earth deserved a place among the galactic community. Enterprise's missions established trade relationships, defensive alliances, and diplomatic protocols that would define Federation policy for centuries. The NX-class design philosophy emphasized exploration over combat, diplomacy over conquest. These ships were built to seek out new life and new civilizations, a mission statement that would echo through Starfleet's future. The Enterprise survived its decade of service and was eventually preserved in the Fleet Museum, where it remained until 2401 as a testament to humanity's first steps into space. Now let's take a look at the Constitution class. The Constitution class launched Starfleet into the age of deep space exploration. 12 ships rolled out of Earth's San Francisco Fleet Yards and Lunar's Tranquility Base. Enterprise, Constellation, Defiant, Excalibur, Exeter, Hood, Intrepid, Lexington, Potemkin, Republic, Yorktown, and Congo. The Enterprise, Constellation, and Congo launched together in 2245 under Captain Robert April's command. These ships measured 289 meters long and carried crews of 400 130. The revolutionary design featured a saucer-shaped primary hull connected to an engineering section with 2 warp nacelles mounted on swept pylons. Now, this configuration kept the dangerous warp coils safely away from crew quarters while allowing the saucer section to separate in emergencies. The Constitution class used modular construction. A ship could launch as a diplomatic vessel, receive new sensor packages at a starbase to become a science ship, then get tactical upgrades for border control. When the Enterprise encountered the galactic barrier in 2265, becoming only the second Federation ship to leave the galaxy, the knowledge gained was rapidly integrated into sensor upgrades for the entire fleet. The Constitution class was designed for 5-year missions beyond Federation borders, but this came with devastating costs. In 2267, the Constellation encountered a massive robotic planet killer that consumed entire worlds for fuel. The ship was gutted, its crew dead, leaving only Commodore Decker alive in the wreckage. That same year, the Intrepid, crewed entirely by 400 Vulcans, was destroyed by a gigantic single-celled organism in the Gamma 7 Alpha system that drained their life force instantly. The Exeter met a different fate in 2268 when a deadly aging virus killed the entire crew except Captain Tracy, leaving their crystallized remains scattered throughout the ship. The Excalibur was destroyed during the disastrous M5 multitronic computer tests, where an automated system turned war games into real combat. The Hood, Lexington and Potemkin also participated in these tests, with the Lexington suffering severe damage. The Defiant responded to a distress call and fell into the mirror universe after a battle with Tholian ships. By 2268, the Constitution class had suffered catastrophic losses, but the survivors, like Enterprise, continued their missions, encountering godlike beings, time paradoxes, and reality-warping aliens. In the early 2270s, Starfleet completely overhauled the Constitution class in what became known as the Constitution II class refit. The Enterprise underwent an 18-month redesign under Captain William Decker and Commander Montgomery Scott that replaced nearly every major system, essentially creating a new vessel. The refit featured improved warp cores, enhanced deflector shields, upgraded phaser arrays and photon torpedo systems. The hull was strengthened and the warp nacelles were completely redesigned. Despite these improvements, by the 2280s, the Enterprise was reassigned as a training vessel as newer designs like the Excelsior class began taking over the frontline duties. In 2285, during the Battle of Mutara Nebula, Admiral Kirk's Enterprise engaged Khan's stolen USS Reliance. The battle caused critical structural damage that would have been costly to repair. With the ship over 20 years old, Starfleet declined to refit the Enterprise again. The original Enterprise was destroyed in 2285, but the newly launched Enterprise A continued the legacy. Multiple Constitution II ships remained in service through the 2290s. The Excelsior, Eagle, Endeavour and Potemkin formed a special task force for Operation Retrieve to rescue Kirk and McCoy from the Klingon prison planet on Ruapenthe. At least one Constitution II ship participated in the Battle of Worf 359 against the Borg and was destroyed there. The 25th century saw the introduction of the Neo-Constitution class, also known as the Constitution III class. The most famous example was the USS Titan A, which incorporated recycled components from destroyed ships after the attack on Utopia Planitia fleet yards, rather than being built from scratch. The Titan A measured 556.5 meters and it carried a crew of 500. It featured the traditional saucer section, engineering hull and warp nacelle layout, but with modern 25th century technology. The ship was equipped with both deflector and metaphasic shields, 7 phaser turrets, 4 phaser arrays and 3 torpedo launchers. Its overpowered impulse engines allowed it to provide close support around densely populated solar systems, while its maximum warp speed reached 9.99. In 2402, the Titan A class was rechristened as the USS Enterprise G to honour the crew's actions in defeating the Borg during the Frontier Day crisis. Now, whether Starfleet will build more Neo-Constitution ships or focus on newer designs like the Inquiry and Ross classes remains unknown. The 31st century Constitution class measured 1,398.2 meters in length and accommodated crews of around 2,000 personnel. Like its ancestors, it featured a saucer section, secondary hull, and 2 warp nacelles connected by pylons. Several of these ships were active by 3060 and continued serving into the 32nd century. Many were destroyed during the Burn, the mysterious event that ignited dilithium across the galaxy. Known ships included the Armstrong along Excalibur and Noble. In 3190, various 31st century Constitution ships participated in Earth's evacuation when the dark matter anomaly threatened the planet. In the alternate Kelvin timeline, the Constitution class differed significantly from the Prime universe due to Nero's temporal incursion in 2233. The destruction of the USS Kelvin changed Starfleet's shipbuilding priorities, resulting in a more aggressive design philosophy. The Kelvin Enterprise was built in Riverside, Iowa, rather than in orbital shipyards. It featured more pronounced hull lines, swept-back nacelles, and a bulkier engineering section. The ship served various roles before beginning its 5-year mission in 2260. When the Enterprise was destroyed in 2263, a new Constitution class under construction at Starbase Yorktown was completed and christened Enterprise A. Let's have a look at the Miranda class. The Miranda class became Starfleet's workhorse, serving faithfully for over a century when most ship designs barely lasted 3 decades. These 243-metre vessels carried crews of 220 and proved that sometimes the best design is the only one that simply works. Built on a modified Constitution class space frame, the Miranda class featured an innovative roll bar configuration that could be customized for different mission profiles. The USS Reliant, launched in 2264, showcased the class's versatility as both a survey vessel and a formidable combat platform. That versatility would be tested in the most tragic way possible during the Genesis incident of 2285. Khan Noonien Singh's commandeering of the Reliant turned this peaceful research vessel into a weapon of vengeance. The ship's phaser arrays and photon torpedoes, designed to protect scientific missions, were turned against the Enterprise in the Battle of the Mutara Nebula. The Reliant's destruction marked one of the darkest moments in Starfleet history, but it also proved the Miranda class's robust construction. The ship remained operational even after catastrophic battle damage. The Miranda class's greatest test came at Wolf 359 in 2367. The USS Saratoga, under Captain Sisko's command, faced the Borg Cube alongside 39 other Federation vessels. The ship fought valiantly, but was overwhelmed by the Borg's superior technology. Yet even in defeat, the Saratoga's crew evacuation procedures saved lives, including future Deep Space Nine commander Benjamin Sisko and his son Jake. These ships continued serving well into the 24th century, receiving regular upgrades that kept them competitive. The modular roll bar system allowed for rapid reconfiguration. A Miranda could be fitted with enhanced sensors for deep space exploration, additional weapons for patrol duty, or specialized equipment for scientific research. The Miranda class represented Starfleet's commitment to practical, reliable design over flashy innovation. And while other classes pushed the boundaries of technology, the Miranda simply did its job, day after day, year after year, across countless sectors of Federation space. So let's take a look at the Excelsior class. The Great Experiment, launched in 2285 amid controversy, skepticism, and one of Starfleet's most ambitious technological gambles. The USS Excelsior represented a quantum leap in starship design, stretching 467 meters in length and housing crews of 750 aboard what would become one of Starfleet's most successful ship classes. The Excelsior's experimental transwarp drive promised to revolutionize space travel, potentially making every other starship obsolete overnight. The massive secondary hull housed the revolutionary propulsion system, while the elongated primary hull accommodated expanded crew quarters, laboratories, and command facilities. Captain Stiles commanded the prototype during its initial trials, confident that his ship would render vessels like the Enterprise primitive relics. That confidence was shattered when Starfleet's most famous engineer, Montgomery Scott, sabotaged the transwarp computer. "The more they overthink the plumbing, the easier it is to stop up the drain," Scotty declared as the Excelsior dead-sticked in space dock. And apologies for the accent. The transwarp experiment had failed, but the Excelsior class was far from finished. Stripped of its experimental drive and fitted with conventional warp systems, the Excelsior became an immediate success. The ship's size and power made it perfect for long-range exploration, diplomatic missions, and defense of Federation borders. Captain Hikaru Sulu took command of the USS Excelsior in 2290, transforming the ship from a technological curiosity into a legendary explorer. Under Sulu's command, the Excelsior mapped uncharted regions of space, established first contact with dozens of species, and proved that the class design was sound. The ship's 3-year mission catalogued gaseous anomalies, stellar phenomena, and previously unknown civilizations throughout the Beta Quadrant. The Excelsior class entered mass production in the 2290s, with ships like the Enterprise B, Lakota, Data and Hood joining the fleet. These vessels featured improved warp cores, enhanced defensive systems, and modular mission pods that could be swapped out at star bases. The Enterprise B's maiden voyage in 2293 demonstrated both the class's capabilities and its limitations when the ship rescued Aurian refugees from the Nexus energy ribbon. By the 24th century, Excelsior-class ships formed the backbone of Starfleet's deep space fleet. The USS Lakota received extensive upgrades. By the 24th century, Excelsior-class ships formed the backbone of Starfleet's deep space fleet. The USS Lakota received extensive upgrades in the 2370s, including quantum torpedoes and enhanced shields that allowed it to engage the USS Defiant on equal terms. Even older vessels like the Hood continued frontline service, participating in major engagements throughout the Dominion War. The final Excelsior-class ships weren't retired until the late 24th century, having served for nearly 100 years. Their longevity proved that sometimes a failed experiment can become a spectacular success. Let's have a look at the Ambassador class. Well, the Ambassador class bridged the gap between exploration and diplomacy, launching at a time when the Federation needed ships that could project power while extending olive branches. These 526-meter vessels carried crews of 700 and represented Starfleet's evolution from pure exploration to galactic peacekeeping. The USS Enterprise C, launched in 2332, became the class's most famous representative and its most tragic hero. Under Captain Rachel Garrett's command, the Enterprise C spent 7 years patrolling Federation space, conducting diplomatic missions and maintaining the peace that Starfleet had worked decades to establish. The Ambassador class featured a distinctive design that would influence starship construction for decades. The elliptical primary hull provided additional space for diplomatic facilities and guest quarters, while the compact secondary hull housed improved warp cores and defensive systems. 2 warp nacelles connected by swept pylons gave the ships an elegant profile that balanced aesthetic appeal with functional design. These ships were built during a period of relative peace, but they were designed for conflict. The Ambassador class mounted powerful phaser arrays and photon torpedo launchers that could engage multiple targets simultaneously. Advanced deflector shields and structural integrity fields protected the ships during combat, while enhanced sensor suites provided early warning of potential threats. The Enterprise C's finest hour came in 2344 at Narendra 3, a Klingon outpost under attack by 4 Romulan warbirds. Captain Garrett could have withdrawn, protecting her ship and crew from certain destruction. Instead, she chose to defend the Klingon colony, knowing that the Enterprise C was outnumbered and outgunned. The battle was brutal and brief. The Enterprise C fought valiantly, but was overwhelmed by superior Romulan firepower. The ship was destroyed with all hands, but its sacrifice had profound consequences. The Klingons were so moved by Starfleet's willingness to die defending Klingon civilians that it fundamentally changed the relationship between the two powers. That single act of heroism prevented a war that would have consumed both empires. The Klingon High Council declared that the Enterprise C had died with honor, and the alliance between the Federation and Klingon Empire grew stronger than ever before. Captain Garrett and her crew became legends in both cultures. The Ambassador class continued serving throughout the 24th century, though they were gradually replaced by Galaxy and Nebula class vessels. Ships like the Excalibur, Horatio, and Zukov participated in the Dominion War, proving that the class design remained viable even decades after construction. Let's take a look at the Galaxy class. The Galaxy class represented the pinnacle of 24th century starship design, stretching 641 meters in length and housing up to 1,012 crew members and civilians aboard mobile cities capable of independent operation for years. These ships were built to be Starfleet's explorers, diplomats, and defenders rolled into one massive package. The USS Enterprise D, launched in 2363, became the Federation flagship under Captain Jean-Luc Picard's command. The ship's mission was simple in concept but revolutionary in execution: seek out new life and new civilizations while serving as a mobile home for families throughout the crew. Children attended school in 10 Forward, scientists conducted research in state-of-the-art laboratories, and diplomats negotiated treaties in luxurious conference rooms. The Galaxy class featured a massive saucer section that could separate from the engineering hull during emergencies. This separation capability was demonstrated multiple times, including during the encounter with the Breen warship and the battle against the Borg at Wharf 359. The saucer section contained most of the crew quarters, while the engineering section housed the warp core and primary weapon systems. These ships pushed the boundaries of Federation technology. The Enterprise D was equipped with the most advanced computer systems ever installed on a starship, including isolinear optical chips and bioneural circuitry. The ship's sensors could detect quantum fluctuations across multiple light years, while its deflector dish could be reconfigured for everything from stellar cartography to temporal mechanics. The Galaxy class proved its worth during first contact situations. The Enterprise D made peaceful contact with the Malkorians, helped establish relations with the Tamarians, and successfully navigated dozens of delicate diplomatic situations. The ship's impressive size and advanced technology often served as effective diplomacy tools, demonstrating Federation capabilities without appearing threatening. However, the Galaxy class was also designed for combat when diplomacy failed. The Enterprise D's phaser arrays could level mountains, while its photon torpedoes could destroy smaller vessels with single hits. The ship's shields could withstand sustained bombardment from multiple attackers, and its structural integrity fields provided additional protection during battle. The class faced its greatest test during the Dominion War. The USS Odyssey was destroyed by Jem'Hadar kamikaze attack in 2370, shocking Starfleet with the realization that even their most powerful ships were vulnerable. The Enterprise D itself was destroyed in 2371 during the battle over Viridian 3, though the saucer sections crash landing on the planet's surface saved most of the crew. Despite these losses, Galaxy-class ships like the Venture, Challenger, and Trinculo continued serving throughout the war. These vessels received tactical upgrades, including quantum torpedoes, ablative armor, and enhanced shield generators that improved their combat effectiveness. Now let's take a look at the Nebula class. The Nebula class emerged as the Galaxy class's smaller, more specialized sister, measuring 442 meters in length and carrying crews of 750. These ships proved that sometimes the best design comes from taking a proven concept and adapting it for specific mission requirements. Built on a modified Galaxy-class space frame, the Nebula class featured a unique mission pod system that could be swapped out at star bases. A single Nebula could serve as a deep space explorer with advanced sensor pods, a tactical cruiser with additional weapons arrays, or a mobile command center with enhanced communications equipment. The USS Phoenix, under Captain Benjamin Maxwell's command, demonstrated the class's combat capabilities during the Cardassian border conflicts of the 2360s. Maxwell's unauthorized attacks on Cardassian vessels nearly triggered a war, but they also proved that the Nebula-class ships could hold their own against foreign warships. The Phoenix's destruction of the Cardassian supply ship and its escorts showed the devastating effectiveness of the class's weapons systems. The USS Sutherland, commanded by Data during the Klingon Civil War, showcased the class's sensor capabilities. The ship's advanced detection arrays allowed it to track cloaked Romulan vessels, supplying the House of Duras, providing the crucial intelligence that helped end the conflict. Data's tactical modifications turned the Sutherland into an anti-cloaking specialist that could detect even the most advanced Romulan stealth technology. The Nebula class excelled at scientific missions that required both advanced sensors and defensive capabilities. The USS Lexington conducted archaeological surveys in contested space, while the USS Merrimack studied stellar phenomena in dangerous regions where Galaxy-class ships would be too valuable to risk. During the Dominion War, Nebula-class ships received the same tactical upgrades as their Galaxy-class cousins. Ships like the Farragut and Endeavour participated in major fleet engagements, proving that the class design remained effective even against superior enemy numbers. Now let's take a look at the Defiant class. The Defiant class marked Starfleet's darkest hour and its most desperate gamble. These 170-meter warships were designed for one purpose: killing Borg cubes. When diplomacy failed and exploration meant nothing, Starfleet built these compact destroyers to fight a war they never wanted. The USS Defiant, originally designated NX 74205, was the prototype for what Starfleet euphemistically called an escort vessel. In reality, it was the Federation's first dedicated warship since the 22nd century, packed with enough firepower to threaten ships 10 times its size. The Defiant featured ablative armor plating instead of traditional deflective shields, quantum torpedoes that could destroy entire city blocks, and pulse phaser cannons that fired in rapid succession rather than sustained beams. The ship's compact design made it a difficult target, while its overpowered warp core provided the energy needed for its devastating weapons systems. The prototype's early trials were disasters. The ship's powerful engines created subspace distortions that nearly tore the vessel apart, while the weapon systems generated so much heat that they threatened to melt the ship's hull. Chief O'Brien spent months redesigning the power distribution communication network, while Worf suggested tactical modifications based on Klingon warship designs. Under Captain Sisko's command, the Defiant became Deep Space Nine's defender and the Federation's most feared warship. The ship fought Jem'Hadar fighters, Cardassian cruisers, and even Klingon battle cruisers with equal effectiveness. Its small size allowed it to operate in areas where larger ships couldn't maneuver, while its firepower could eliminate threats that would require entire squadrons of conventional vessels. The Defiant's finest hour came during the Dominion War's opening battles. The ship single-handedly held off multiple Jem'Hadar attacks on Deep Space Nine, proving that the Federation could build warships as effective as any in the Alpha Quadrant. The ship's success led to mass production of the class, with vessels like the Valiant and Sao Paulo joining the fleet. The USS Valiant, crewed entirely by Red Squad cadets, demonstrated both the class's capabilities and the dangers of overconfidence. The ship nearly destroyed a Dominion battleship, but was ultimately lost when the cadets attempted a mission beyond their abilities. The Valiant's destruction served as a reminder that advanced technology couldn't replace experience and judgment. The Defiant itself was destroyed in 2375 during the Second Battle of Chintaca, overwhelmed by Breen energy dampening weapons. However, the USS Sao Paulo was immediately renamed Defiant to continue the legacy, and the class remained in production throughout the war. Now, the Intrepid class. The Intrepid class launched into the 24th century as Starfleet's answer to long-range exploration, combining advanced technology with unprecedented range and endurance. These 344-meter vessels carried crews of 150 and featured innovations that would reshape starship design for decades. The USS Voyager, launched in 2371 under Captain Catherine Janeway's command, was intended for a 3-week mission to capture marquee terrorists in the Badlands. Instead, the ship was hurled 70,000 light-years across the galaxy into the Delta Quadrant, beginning the most remarkable journey in Starfleet history. The Intrepid class featured bioneural circuitry that allowed the ship's computer to learn and adapt like a living organism. Variable geometry warp nacelles adjusted their position based on warp factors, improving efficiency and reducing subspace damage. The emergency medical hologram provided advanced medical care without requiring a full medical staff. Stranded in hostile territory with no hope of rescue, Voyager's crew had to adapt their personal and peaceful exploration vessel for survival. The ship's modular design allowed for constant modifications. New weapon systems, enhanced shields, and improved sensors were installed using salvaged materials and Delta Quadrant technology. Voyager encountered species that challenged every Federation principle. The Kazon, Vidians, and Hirogen viewed the ship as either prey or prize, forcing Janeway to make increasingly difficult decisions about survival versus Starfleet ideals. The ship's encounters with the Borg provided intelligence about humanity's greatest enemy, while forging an unlikely alliance with Seven of Nine. The ship's 7-year journey home covered impossible distances through dangerous space. Voyager survived battles with Borg cubes, encounters with species 8472, and the politics of the Delta Quadrant's most powerful civilizations. The crew's innovations in quantum slipstream drives, temporal mechanics, and transwarp technology advanced Federation science by decades. Captain Janeway's decision to destroy the Caretaker's array stranded her crew, but saved the Okampa civilization from Kazon conquest. This single act defined Voyager's entire journey, choosing principles over convenience, even when the cost was enormous. The ship's return to Earth in 2378 provided Starfleet with invaluable intelligence about the Delta Quadrant, advanced technologies, and proof that Federation ideals could survive even in the most challenging of circumstances. Voyager's crew had travelled further and faced more dangers than any previous Starfleet expedition. Let's take a look at the Sovereign class. The Sovereign class emerged from the lessons of Wolf 359, designed to ensure that Starfleet would never again be helpless against superior enemies. These 685-meter vessels combine the exploration capabilities of the Galaxy class with the combat effectiveness that the 24th century demanded. The USS Enterprise E, launched in 2372, became the Federation flagship under Captain Picard's command. The ship represented everything Starfleet had learned about starship design: sleek lines that reduced sensor signatures, quantum torpedoes that could penetrate any known armor, and shield generators powerful enough to withstand sustained bombardment from multiple attackers. The Sovereign class faced a revolutionary design philosophy that prioritized both exploration and combat readiness. The elongated hull provided additional space for scientific equipment while improving the ship's speed and maneuverability. capability. Advanced phaser arrays provided 360-degree coverage with rapid-fire quantum torpedo launchers that could engage multiple targets simultaneously. The Enterprise E's first major test came during the Battle of Sector 001 in 2373. The ship arrived as a Borg cube approached Earth, joining a desperate fleet action that seemed doomed to failure. Picard's intimate knowledge of Borg technology allowed the Enterprise to target the cube's critical systems, leading the fleet to victory and proving the Sovereign class's worth. The ship's pursuit of the Borg sphere through time to 2063 demonstrated the class's temporal mechanics capabilities. The Enterprise's successful intervention in First Contact ensured that humanity's future remained unchanged, while the ship's battle with the Borg in Earth's past proved its effectiveness across multiple time periods. During the Dominion War, Sovereign-class ships like the Enterprise E participated in major fleet engagements while maintaining their exploration duties. The class's advanced sensors and diplomatic facilities made them ideal for first contact situations in contested space, while their combat capabilities ensured they could defend themselves against enemy forces. The Enterprise E's encounters with Sonar and Baku demonstrated the class's versatility in both combat and diplomatic situations. The ship's ability to operate effectively in metaphasic radiation and its crew's success in exposing the Sonar conspiracy proved that the Sovereign class could handle any mission that Starfleet assigned. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Live long and prosper. Bye!